Assalamu alaikum. Can you all hear me now? Can you hear me? Yes, no, yeah, you can. Okay, let's get started then. Okay, welcome to the 6th lecture of Computer Programming 1. Now, today's lecture we'll be talking about inheritance. Now, so far we've been talking about object, and I think we discussed last lecture how to create object, how to call object from another object, and so on. Now, one of the important characteristics of inheritance, one of the important characteristics of the object that they inherit. إيش يعني inheritance? What's the meaning of inheritance? وراثة. I don't mean inherent money, but inherent characteristics. Now, for example, we humans are all objects. Now, all of us inherit from Adam alayhi salam, even if it was a very slight, minor inheritance, but we do inherit. Okay? But on the other hand, we do not inherit from the plants, and the nabatat. ليش? Because they are different objects. Okay? So the objects inherit from the same objects. Okay. Now, this is very important characteristics or feature when it comes to doing a programming. Now, why? If I give you this example, okay? If I give you this example, now, as you can see, can you all see this diagram, okay? Can you see this diagram? Because I had some complaints earlier about the diagrams not being clear. You can see the diagram? Okay. Now, if you notice something, we have a tree of elements. Now, in the first one, let me get my pen. Okay, in the first one, we have class vehicle, يعني مركبات. Right. Now, vehicles, المركبات, share common characteristics. For example, they all run on wheels. They have tires, wheels. They run on petrol, and so on. Now, if I want to program various or different vehicles, I do not need to program, for example, wheels every single time. So I can only program, I have to only program the main one with wheels, and then I inherit the characteristics wheel, I give it to the smaller classes. For example, vehicle is a broad term. Now, an example of vehicle is motorcycle, الدراجات, cars, trucks, trains, and so forth. Okay, but and the main one is the vehicle, and then they branch off. For example, car as well. The car you have different cars. You have Mercedes, Hyundai, Toyota, Volvo, all sorts of cars. Now, in this class we will be learning about terminologies, very important terminologies. Now, the first terminology I'm going to give you for today's class is a term we call superclass. Okay, let me write this here. Super class. Again, just excuse my handwriting; it doesn't go well with this pen. Super class. Okay. Now, the class that we inherit from is called the superclass, and the class we give to, الكلاس اللي هو يورث, we call it subclass. We call it a subclass. Now, the subclass or the class can itself be a superclass and a subclass at the same time. For example, the car. The car is a subclass of vehicle, but at the same time is a superclass. At the same time, it is a superclass for the other little classes. For example, sedan, Hyundai, Mercedes, anything. Okay? Is it clear now? Do you understand the term inheritance? If you do, put check. If you do not, put cross. So do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay. Yep. I think one person does not. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. So yeah, as I said, so the vehicle in this term is the superclass and the car is the subclass. Oh, by the way, this is another important stuff. Always the superclass is more generalized. Okay, which means it is the bigger picture. Class vehicle هو أعم generalized. Okay, so when you see a class is more generalized, it is the superclass. While on the other hand, the subclass is rather specialized. Okay, so always the superclass is the bigger picture, while the subclass is smaller picture. Now, if I give you an example, if we say, right, if we have two classes, and if we have two classes, I'll write it down here. If we have class animals and class cats. Okay, I'm going to open the chat for you. You tell me which one will be the superclass and which one is the subclass. Animal superclass, yep, animal superclass, and obviously the cat is subclass because again, animals is a bigger picture than a cat. Cat is specialized, okay, while the animal is a bigger picture. So animal is a superclass, while cat is a subclass. Now, do not raise your hand. I always give you the last 10 minutes to ask questions. Now, in a few minutes, we'll break 10 minutes for prayer. Give us 5 minutes, and then we'll go to pray, and then we'll come back. Yeah. So animal is the bigger picture, so it's a superclass, and cat is a subclass because it's specialized. Now, these terminologies are very important in the exam. Okay. Anything I say, it is important in the exam, and your exams are approaching. They are towards. I think your exams will start a week beginning with 17th of November. 17th of November is, I think, I'm not sure. I think it's the week where you start your exams. Anyway, we'll talk about exams later. Inshallah, 1 week or 2 weeks before the exam, I will tell you more about the exams. I'll probably give you the structure of the exam. Just like so you get the feeling of how my exams will be. And I said to you before, my exams are not necessarily easy. They are not rock solid. They're not very hard, but they're not easy. You have to make sure that you understand everything we have taken so far. If you do not understand anything, you've got to go back to the recording, check the recordings, ask me questions, email me. And the good thing is now all of you have face-to-face lecturers. So in all of you, in all the branches, you have face-to-face. So it is a good opportunity for you to go and ask them as well. So when you have your face-to-face class, ask them. They will help you. So you have different lecturers. So you can get benefit out of both. Okay, so it is very important now for you to understand everything. If you do not understand anything, you've got to let me know. Right. So let's continue then. Now, this is what I've talked about, superclass, subclass, no problem. Right, okay. Actually, no, okay. I have another example to give you. Before I give you the example, I want to give you a terminology. Okay. Right, okay, I'll give it to you afterwards. Okay, no problem. Right, okay. So soon we will have a code example that demonstrates the inheritance in the questions behavior. So, for example, if I set an online exam for you, so for example, I want to program questions using Java for you. Now, definitely, the term question will be a superclass because we have so many types of questions. What kind of questions we have? We have, for example, we have choice questions, we have filling the gaps in الفراغ. We have short answer questions, we have long answer questions, we have too many types of questions. So I can open a class and call it a question and make it my super class. Right. And for example, I want to make a multiple choice for you. So I want to set a multiple choice for you. By the way, just I want to mention this important point. Doing questions using programming, online questions, are not particularly easy. They are very difficult. Apart from the multiple choice questions, online questions are quite easy. But if I want to set like an essay exam for you using the computer, it will be almost impossible. Why would it be almost impossible? You answer me. Okay? If I want to set an online exam for you using the computer, and I ask you to write a document for me, like I write a taqreer or report or something like that for me, why is it difficult or almost impossible? Need the time? No, it's not about time. It's not about time. Check, yeah, okay, check. I think you're right. Check. For checking, that's right, exactly. Because as I said to you before, the computer is stupid. The computer does not understand. We have to tell the computer every single step. So if I set questions for you using the computer, on the other hand, I have to set answers so the computer can check your answer against my answer. Now, if I ask you to write a report for me, it will be very difficult because, for example, if I ask you to write a word, and the word, let's say it's the word it's Ali, okay? It's Ali. The answer, for example, is Ali. Okay. Now I told the computer that Ali is written in this way with a capital I. You come in the exam and you write it this way. Okay. Now theoretically you will be correct. You know, it doesn't matter. So if you write it, you know, capital or small, it doesn't matter. I'm not teaching you English here, so it doesn't matter. So theoretically you'll be correct, but with the computer you will be wrong. So this is a big problem. Okay, when it comes to actually setting out exams using the computer. While multiple choice are fairly easy, why? Because I can tell the computer which answer is the correct answer. So the computer can check your answer with my answer and mark the thing. Anyway, so this is just for you to understand, you know, the various questions. Anyway, so let's continue. So the question will be the superclass. These ones here will be the subclasses, but the choice question, which I'm interested in, is a subclass, a subclass to question, but at the same time it is a superclass to multiple choice. It is superclass to multiple choice. Okay. Well, we'll have a look now. Okay, if I open the class question as it is, the super class, but at the moment we're not talking about inheritance. This is just a normal class, and I call this question. Now remind me, I'm going to open the chat for you. Remind me, what are these? We talked about this before the holiday. I just want to make sure that you still remember. What are these? Variables, instance variables. Thank you. Yes. Variables is specifically instance variables, the attributes. Okay, so thank you for remembering this. Now, what is this? What is this? Local, it's a method. Yeah, what kind of method? It's not a class. Constructor, thank you. Yes, it is a constructor. Why do we know it's constructor? It has exactly the same name as the class name, so it is a constructor. Okay, right, again, now I've taught you this, do not forget. Now, if you do forget, you will lose marks in the exam. Make sure you know everything that I have taught you, and other teachers have taught you as well, because me and the other teachers, we teach the same materials. So make sure you understand everything, please. Otherwise, you will have problems in the exam. Anyway, let's continue. Right. So we have a class. Obviously, I'm not going to run through the whole thing because we've talked about this. So it's the same idea. This is like a set method. You know, I'm not going to talk about it. You understand it, hopefully. Okay. We have a return. We have a get method. It's a return. You know, we have a display, eventually display method, right? So all of them, you know, I don't think there's anything major that you need to understand here. Excuse me. So, oops. Okay, I think, yeah. Right, okay, so if you notice here, okay, if you notice here, right, I'm going to open the chat. Again, what did we say we put in the constructor? What do we have in the constructor? What do we have in the constructor? Why string? Initial values, yes, thank you. It's not always string we have. We could have integer or double. But yes, thank you, we do have initial values. So normally in the string we put in our initial values. Now notice with the text, now if it was an integer, we put equals 0. Or if it was an initial value, it could be 10. But if it was an initial value 0, we put 0. But with the text, if the initial value was 0, I mean nothing, we put double quotation empty. Okay, that indicates its initial value. Or we don't have to put this. We could just write, for example, text. For example, we could have text semicolon, and it will, Java automatically will give you the initial value anyway. So that's just for your information. It doesn't matter. Right. So let's continue. Okay. So this is the continuation. Now we opened our main method. This is the main class, and we have the main method, and we have this output. Okay. And again, this is just a normal class. Try it yourself. Okay. We have something new in here called the scanner. This is in the library. We also call it. I'll teach you about scanners later. The scanner will allow the user input. So far, we have been putting our input in the main class. Okay, we set the input. But if you create what you call a class, which is in the library, sorry, if you call scanner, which is in the library, you can call it as you call a normal object, and you will allow a user input. So the user will be able to have an answer here. Okay, in this line here, the user, you will ask question, your answer, the user will be able to put an answer. Now the program will check the answer. If the student answered exactly as James Gosling, okay, the question was who was the inventor of Java. If the student put exactly James Gosling, okay, the computer will say, the Java will say true. If it answers otherwise, it will put false, right? So this is the idea of the program. Anyway, so far, just this is a normal class. We have not started inheritance yet. If we continue, okay, this is for you to read. This is what I want to talk about. We have another terminology called override. Okay, another terminology called override. Now, any idea what this might be? Override? No, okay, before I say override, okay, in the past we have come across, we learned a term called overload. Similar. Overload. Now, can you tell me what does overload mean? Right over? Yeah, okay, override, right over, that's right. Overload, what does overload mean? What does overload mean? We came across this terminology before. No, not load again. No. Okay, clearly you have not been studying. Okay, nope. Right, okay, you didn't get it right this time. Right, overload, remember this, we talked about it. Overload, when you have exactly the same method name in the same class, so one class has more than one method name, but with different parameters. Okay, so if, for example, if you have, I don't know, if you have a class car, for example, if you have class car, okay, and you have method tires, oops, if you have method tires, okay, and you say, okay, then we have 2 tires, for example, and then you have another method called also tires, okay, and you put 4 tires, for example, then this is called overloading. So you have the same method name but different parameters, معطيات مختلفة, input مختلف, different inputs. It could be even you could change the type. So for example, in the first one you have string, in the next one you have integer. Okay, so as long as you change it, you have the same method name, you change it slightly, You have different parameters. We call this overloading. Overwriting is explicitly in inheritance. بالتحديد للinheritance, right? Is when you have same message name but you add to it. For example, if we have let's go back to our animal example. If we have class animal, class animals, class animals. Okay, you have class animals, and you opened a method called. If you, for example, want to study the movement of animals, obviously the animals move differently. Some of them crawl, some of them move on 2 legs, some of them move on 4, and so on. So if we want to study the movement of animals, and we say, okay, then class animal, and we have a method called move, for example. Okay? And then we write, for example, we write system.out.println, okay, and we put, for example, we say animals oops, can move. Okay, so I want to print a simple statement where it says animals can move. Okay, we finished the class. Now, if I open another class, which is a subclass to animals, so it inherits from animals, I call it class cats. Okay, class cats, and then we say, okay, then this is the class cats, and we open another method. Also, we call it exactly the same name. For example, move. Okay, so we have class move, exactly the same name. And this time we want to put in system, for example, system.out.println, and we say cats can run. Okay, so what did we do here really? Cats can run. What did we do here really? We override the class move that is in here. We override it. Now, if I open a main method, no, sorry. If I open, let me open a new page. If I open a main method, okay, main. This is our main class, our main method. And we say, okay then, we say animals A equals new animals, Now, by the way, before I continue, do you know what I've done just now? Do you remember what I've done just now? What did I do? I want to test your memory again. What did I do now? Create an object. Yes, thank you. And call a method. Yes, thank you. I called a method. I called not a method. I called an object, not a method. I called the class in here. Okay, I will call it a method in a minute. But yeah, thank you. I created an object, called it A. Okay, and at the same time, I called the class that is animal. Now I want to call the method inside the animal, so I go say, okay then, A dot move. Now tell me what will happen. Tell me what will happen now. What will happen now? What will happen now? Error? Nothing, no error. Why error? A dot move. It will call this method here. So it will print out for me animals can move. Okay, right. Let's continue. Now, if I want, before I call this, if I want to have to call the other object, that cat B equals new cats. Now I want to say, okay then, A dot move. Now what will happen now when I put A dot move? What will happen now? No, not cats can run. Look, I've created the object A that belongs to animals. So when I put animal.move, it will simply print this line for me again, because again you have. Now why do we call names? Now if your name is I don't know, Sarah, for example. If your name is Sarah, people call you by name, so they know who you are. Now when we have given animals, when we have given it when passed it to object A, so now A replace the animal. So when I say A.move, it will call the class, the method move inside the animals. Okay, so I will have animals can move. Now, if I put B.move, what will happen now? If I put B.move, what will happen? Yes, now it will say cats can run. Right, what have I done here? What have I done? Look, first of all, I printed the statement. Then straight after, I printed another statement. I've done overriding here. So I overrided this statement. I overrided it. Okay, so at first I had the method move from the animal, from the superclass. Then what I did, I replaced it by the other the other method from the class cats. Okay, so I have overriding. So basically, you can, if you want to overriding, you can still have the same statement. You can write it here, and you can change on it. Okay, I hope this is understood. Now, what we will do? Before I continue. So, do you all understand the overriding? Do you understand overriding? Okay, answer me quickly. There are 54 students. Do you understand? Yes, thank you. Okay, so you understand. Probably only a few of you don't understand. Hopefully we'll talk about it again later. Now what we'll do, we'll just break for 10 minutes to go pray, and then we will come back. So you'll have 10 minutes of break, we will pray, and then we will come back. So we'll come back at, what time is it now? It's 5:45. We'll come back at 5 minutes to 6. Okay then, so الله يتقبل مقدما. فيتقبل الله جميعا. Okay, let's continue then. Okay, so we got to I'll give you an example now on what we've been talking. Alright, so if you remember, we had this example, the question example. Keep it in mind. Okay, so we have this question example. Now we will try to inherit from this class, which is the class question. So if I want to create a subclass called the choice question, okay, that will inherit from the class questions. By the way, first of all, we started with an import. I haven't taught you about imports yet. Inshallah, I will in the near future. We have something called array list, because with the question here, we're going to open an array to have the questions in it. We'll talk about this later. They're all from the library. Okay, they're all Java utilities. They're all from the library. Never mind, don't worry about them just yet. Now we'll come to talk about the inheritance. So, okay. So if I open a new class and call it, for example, choice question. Now, how does the computer know that I want to inherit? We use the keyword extends. The keyword extends. This word is a reserved word. You have to use it exactly the same. Can you see even the color changes when you use it? It's a reserved word. So when you use it, what you mean is you mean that you want to inherit from. So you want a choice question to inherit from question. Okay. So always the one on the left-hand side of the extent is the one that is going to inherit from the one on the right-hand side. So choice questions will inherit from questions. Similarly, when we had our cat example, will be the syntax will be something like this. So you put public class cats, public class cats extends animals. Okay? In this way, you are telling the program that animals. Okay? In this way, you are telling the program that you want to inherit from this class. Right. All of these, again, this is attributes. It's used them in a way, it's asking for the array list. This one is set the constructor, also use it as the array list. Just don't worry about the array. Right. Now, this is again, it's just don't worry about this. It's again, it's talking about set and get method. Now, this is what I'm interested in. Okay. Oops. Sorry, excuse me. I think there's a problem with my blackboard. Are you all with me? Are you still with me? Yeah, you're still with me. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm interested actually in talking about the last one, which is display. Okay, now note another thing. Remember I told you about overriding. Now the method display is the presence in the main in the superclass. Here we go. Okay, can you see the last method is display. The last method is display. Now, so we're gonna use the same method. Now, if there's another keyword that you can use to specify that you exactly want this method, is the word super. Can you see this word? Super. When you use the word super dot the method name, you mean you want exactly to bring the method from the super class. So you are here, you're bringing the method display. Because if you don't use super, you can have another method called display inside your subclass. No problem. Okay? While if you specify super, that means that you are explicitly asking the program, يعني بالضبط asking the program to bring you the method that is display, the method from the super class. Then you can add your own stuff to it. We added our own stuff to it. Now, what do we call this again? When we add our own stuff to the method, what do we call it? What do we call it? Overriding. Yes, thank you. Okay, so we did overriding here. So we have the same method name, and we did call it exactly the same method, and we added our own things depending on on the requirement. Again, we haven't talked about the for loop yet. By the way, hopefully, I think today is the last lecture I'll give you about object-oriented. I think we've had enough. We've talked a lot about object-oriented. We talked about the important stuff about object-oriented. As from next lecture, inshallah, I'll be giving you actually simpler stuff. So we started with the hard stuff. It's gonna get a little bit easier. I'll be talking about arrays, conditional statements, for and while and stuff like that, and the loops and stuff. So we'll talk about the for later. But anyway, I want you to get the idea. Okay. So far, do you get the idea? So far, do you get the idea? Do you get the idea of inheritance? Only one student, 2, 3. I'm counting. Okay, we're talking about 50 students here. Answer me, unless you're not there. I want to get responses. Do you understand about the inheritance? 9 against. All right. This is the 7 people don't understand. This is the maximum I've had so far not understanding. Now what I'll do. By the way, okay. Let me finish the session, and then I'll take your questions. Especially those who do not understand, please ask me. Okay. 7 is gone down now to 0, but 7 is quite worrying because this is the maximum number of students that I've ever had that do not understand. Right. Okay. Let me continue. Now again, we opened our own method. Okay. We called the subclass twice. You can call it as many times as you want. You can call an object 50 times if you want to, but you have to give it different names. Okay. And so on. So eventually you'll have this output. Okay. Eventually you will have this output. Right. Some questions and answers. I'm not going to go into details because we don't have time. We don't need to. I want you to only understand the whole idea. What I want you to do as well, try go at home okay, and try the programs yourself. So the examples I've given you here, try to type them yourself and see what you get, and then try to start playing with them. You know, change few stuff and see what you get. If you do not understand, you can always email me. Now I want to talk about the last thing. Okay, this is the super that we talked about now. I want to talk about polymorphism. Just this another feature of object-oriented inheritance in particular. We can have polymorphism in inheritance. Basically, what all means, it means that you can combine the superclass and subclass in one class. Okay, you can combine the superclass and subclass in one class. For example, if you call class question, okay, which was the superclass, and you also call the choice question, which is the subclass. See, we call them in the same class. This phenomena is called polymorphism. Polymorphism means تعدد الأشكال. It is useful in programming. Well, you know, it's for example, remember the example that I gave you about the animal cat? I did polymorphism. I actually did polymorphism. Do you remember when I called when I did animals B, sorry, animals A, and I did animals B, sorry, I did cats B, sorry. I did animals A and cats B. I did polymorphism, yeah? Because I combined the superclass and a subclass in one class. It's quite useful in some cases. For example, if you want to use both classes. So here's the answer. So here it's like combined information from both classes. Okay, it combined work from the superclass and combined work from the subclass. Now remember something. When we talk about subclasses, the subclass doesn't mean it inherits exactly everything from the superclass. Okay, not necessarily. So the subclass doesn't always inherit everything from the superclass. Now I told you, remember the first example I gave you. For example, Abuna Adam alayhi salam. Okay. Now we inherited a few characteristics from Adam alayhi salam. I'm sure they are very, very minor. Okay, I'm sure they are very minor. But we inherit more from our fathers. See, so every time, now if I have vehicle, car, Mercedes, vehicle, car, Mercedes. Vehicle is the superclass. Car will inherit stuff from vehicles. Now Mercedes will inherit more stuff from car than vehicles, okay? Because it's the father, if you know what I mean, okay? So, and it doesn't mean that you have to inherit everything. You as a human being, you inherit some stuff from your fathers, but you develop your own stuff, okay? So you develop, for example, the animals, all animals can move, but they're not necessarily, they inherit the same movement. So not all animals move exactly the same. Some of them move on 4 legs, some of them move on 2, some of them crawl, and so on. Okay, so when we talk about inheritance, it doesn't mean that we inherit everything from the object. We inherit stuff that we actually need. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up this lecture, and I'm gonna open the. I'm gonna give you 15 minutes to ask questions. So I'll open the chance for you. So if you do have the questions, please raise your hands. Okay, Munira has a question. Right, speak Munira. Speak in English, please. Munira?
Yeah, okay, hi Doctor. First of all, I didn't understand the override clearly. I understand a little bit, not that much.
Okay, I'll talk about it again. Yeah.
Yeah, and second thing, please, we need some favor from you. If you can put some question for us related to CS and IT 1010 in Blackboard, that will gonna clear for us how the question in the exam will gonna be.
Okay.
Because we study, but we don't know the type of the question that will come. You know, we cannot understand from this.
If you attended my, the lecture from the beginning, I did say I'll make sure that you are ready for the exams 1 or 2 weeks before the exams. So don't worry about this. So I'll talk about the exams nearer the time. So when it comes to closer to the exams, I'll give you details about the exams. Okay, so don't worry about this for now. Now let's go back to your first question. Now let's try to understand inheritance again. Overriding again. as I said to you, now let me find another example. Right, okay, if we have a class, class cars, and we have a method called turn right. Turn right. So here we're telling the car how to turn right. So we have a method called turn right, and we have, you know, we put our stuff in here, and that's the super class. And then we have a class, for example, Volvo. Okay, class Volvo. I think it's written like this. Anyway, it's I'm not very good with cars. Anyway, okay. So class Volvo, for example, and we have another a method called also turn right. Turn right. Turn right. Okay. Now I can call. Okay, I can call method right in my main, for example, and let's say I called I gave Volvo the letter V. Okay, so I say V dot turn right. Turn right. Although I have a method called turn right in here, but as I said to you, you might not necessarily. You might call it, but it doesn't necessarily, it has to be the same. For example, all cars turn right, okay? But some of them, for example, the rear tires will move. Some of them, the back tires will move, as an example. Okay, don't take this my stupid example, but anyway, so they could turn in a different way. So, but the idea is there. The idea that all the cars turn right, okay? So we can use this idea from the method that is in the super class, but then we can change it to something that suits us. Well, this suit Volvo, okay? So we can call that the same method. They can have the same method name, but we can change it to things that are more suitable for this class. Now, what is the usefulness? What is the importance of having overriding? Now, it's one of the importance is that it makes our life easier. Makes our lives easier. Imagine that if I cannot do overriding, meaning if I cannot use the same method name, now every time I'm gonna have to talk about turning right, I'm gonna have to give it a different name. Now I might have 20 classes, so I'll end up with 20 names. It will make my life difficult. So I'm going to have to remember every method what it does. While if I have the same name unified for all of them, it will be easier for us to program and to understand. Okay? So we have the same method that describes the action. But it doesn't have to be exactly the same action. We can tweak it, we can change it to the way we want. Is this clear now? Is it clear? If it's not clear, just ask a question. Raise your hand. Or any other question. Any more questions? All of a sudden, okay. Zainab. Okay, speak. Zainab?
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. For me, I didn't understand all the CS.
Okay, now you
I can only understand all from the lecture that you have given, but from the book, I think that it's so difficult for us to understand it. I mean, the CS must be practical more than written exams.
No, I'm quite confused. Now you understand the practical, but you don't understand the exam?
Yeah.
What do you mean you understand the practical? You mean the homeworks?
Yeah, the homework. And from your slides, from the virtual classes, I can only understand.
Yeah, that's what you need to understand. What else? That's what you need to understand. You need to understand my classes, and you need to understand the homeworks that I give you. That's it.
That's it. What about the book?
If you understand them, you have no problem, hopefully. About the exam, don't worry. Again, before 1 week or 2 weeks before the exam, I will give you a practicing questions. I'll give you the feeling of how the exams might be. Okay, so don't worry about the exam just yet. As long as you understand the lectures and the homeworks that I set you, you are fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Yep. Right.
Okay, thank
Next
you.
question from Lena. Lena, yeah. Lena.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
أستاذ عندي سؤال بالنسبة لواجبات البلاك بورد. احنا عشان في مادة ثانية المدرب قال لنا لا تحلوا واجبات البلاك بورد وانا بعطيكم واجبات. بعدين أمس نتفاجأ بالمحاضرة إن المدرسة الجديدة بتحكي لنا لا عليكم واجبات البلاك بورد والست واجبات عليكم تحلوهم وتسلموني إياهم. مش مشكلة، احنا بنحكي بالنسبة لموادك دكتور. مطلوبة منا كواجبات البلاك بورد ولا لا؟ عشان كمان إذا مطلوبة منا الواحد يبدأ يجهز نفسه.
For CS 140, you are only required to do the homework that I set you, or your lecturer sets you. Okay?
Thank you.
But you're not required for now, for this semester, you are not required to do the blackboard homeworks, right? If you do them, it is good, it's for your benefit. But I will not ask you to do them. It's for your benefit. I recommend that you do them, okay? But they will not be marked, right? But you have to do the homeworks that we set you. Okay, so all of you now, even you have face-to-face lecturers. And by the way, even when you have your face-to-face lecturers, we all follow the same procedure. So me and your face-to-face lecturer, we follow the same procedure. So don't worry about it. So you just follow what we give you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Question from Munira. Munira?
Yeah, Doctor, I would like to ask you about the super and sub classes. If I want to do a classes, I have to do 2 classes, one of them super and 1 sub, or I just always do it as a polymorphism, as you say. We have to do 2 classes or just 1?
Now, just can you repeat the question?
When I want to do an project that have a super class and subclass, I have to divide that to 2 classes or just 1 classes.
With the super class and subclass, you obviously have to have more than 1 class. You cannot have like it's called inheritance. So we're talking about one class inheriting from another class. So obviously you're gonna have to have at least 2 classes. One is the super, one is the sub, if you know what I mean. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and polymorphism, depending, you don't have to make them, you don't have to have polymorphism. Depends on the question. Okay? So it depends on the question, you might need polymorphism, you might not need polymorphism. Okay? But anyway, obviously, we're talking about inheritance, so you must have more than 1 class. At least one will be the super, and at least one will be the sub. And you might have 20 classes. Some of them super, some of them sub, some of them super and sub at the same time. Okay? Right? Any more questions? Muna. Yes, Muna?
Hello, Doctor.
Hi.
I'd like to ask you how many lectures would be included in the next midterm exam?
All of them until we get to where we get to. Okay? Sorry to disappoint you, but yeah. Okay, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about the exam. 2 weeks before the exam, I will make sure that you are okay with the exam. Don't worry about it. But obviously, it's going to be like until we're not almost get to the exam. So but don't worry about it. I'll talk about the exam later. Make sure you understand everything we have taken so far. Okay? Right. I think Lena here. Lena, do you have a question? Lena? don't know if Lena wants to have a question. Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? You all understand? If you do not understand, this is your chance. Yes, Zahra. Ask me.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
But this is very difficult class for me. There was a technical problem. And there was also about registration, there was a problem with the FCC, but I want from you just some advice for me, like I am start from the beginning. So
okay.
just some tips for me to guide me to continue. Yeah.
Okay, right. First of all, well, welcome to the CS140. Now, what you need to do is our lectures are recorded. So if you go to Blackboard, just like you've just done now, you're with us. If you just go outside the page, you will see a recording tab. If you press on the recording, you see the lectures are recorded. So all the lectures we've taken in the past are recorded. Go back to them and view them all, right? Also, you have all the slides are available under the folder that's called the slides. I've created the folder on the Blackboard called the slides for all of you to see, and I'm updating that on a weekly basis. You will see the slides in that folder, so you need to download all the slides, read them for yourself. Also, when you look at the when you view the recordings, you will find out that I have set homeworks to the students. Make sure that you try to do the homeworks as well. Okay, I know you're too late, doesn't matter. You try to do the homeworks, all of them, so you understand more. Also, I'm also publishing YouTube tutorials. I've already done two. I've sent you the links for them, so you can view my YouTube tutorial on programming with Java. So basically, in these tutorials, I'm solving the homeworks for you. Okay, so far I've only done two. I've got a very short time. Inshallah. Inshallah, this week I will publish more, right? And also, these are the materials that we have. Also, you can go further. You can get the book. If you read the syllabus that is available on Blackboard, there's the textbook name. You can try to get the book, read it from the book if you want to. You can also use the internet. Google is a very good tool. Go to Google and type in, for example, programming with Java, inheritance in Java. Type in these keywords in Google, and you'll get loads of tutorials, questions, examples. You'll get loads of them. So there are so many supporting materials for you. Again, you are open university students. The lecturer has 25% of the effort to give you. You have 75% of the work to do. Okay, so you have to actually take what we give you, take it further, look at more examples. For me, I don't have time to give you everything, even the slides. I try to sometimes skip some of the materials. Now, it's your job to read through the slides very well and go and have a look at more examples, okay? Right, any more questions? Any more questions? So so you all understand that. Okay, cool. So if you understand, I'm happy. If you study and you feel like you do not understand, you can always email me as usual. And the good thing is you all have now face-to-face lecturers. This is very good advantage for you. You can ask them in the classes as well. Okay, so you have no excuse now whatsoever. Alhamdulillah, we are all settled now, and I wish you good luck with the exam. I want you to study very well. Make sure you know what we've taken. We've already taken 6 classes. Make sure you understand all the classes, and so next week inshallah we'll take we'll take a new subject, and we take it from there. So good luck to all of you, and inshallah I will see you next week. Assalamu alaikum.